Hi guys, this week on the Abbey, Skye and Hilton let it all out. That's me, Hilton.
Yes.
That's him,
Skye.
Skye.
Yeah.
We're talking about the tiny things in post-production pipelines that drive us absolutely feral. From XMLs that arrive like cryptic horoscopes to the eternal debate over folder structures that spark joy versus ones that spark existential dread. Because sometimes it's not the crash, it's the 14th export labeled final V3.
File naming crimes, folder anarchy, and workflow decisions so strange you would think they were made under duress. I have seen some truly astonishing things in my day, from folder structures where, this is my timeline, all my animations, all my transitions, XMLs, footage, audio. I'm just going to put them right here for you.
Mm-hmm.
One folder, one bin.
That whole idea of exporting timelines and naming them timeline 1, timeline 2, timeline 3. Meanwhile, you're working on 500 jobs, so what the hell are you supposed to expect?
Yeah.
You're reading names that just, you're like, I use that all the time. That's a common one. It's like new comp 05.
No, it's mad. And for me, it's when you can tell when like an online artist has worked on the same timeline and then created multiple layers, but it's all been done on a single timeline. So they all have the exact same name. So you try and import everything through this single bin. And then it's like, oh, but there's only one layer.
Yeah.
You get one PNG.
Oh no, the best is when you're exporting individual clips, but you've got multiple of the same clip names. So then it underscore 001, underscore 002, underscore 003, but it's already underscore 001 V2. So like you got V2, 001, V2, 003. Naming conventions put us into such a bind.
No, it really does. I mean, think about it. The more organized your workflow is from the start, the better the job is going to be. You can already tell when you get your batch of footage which job is going to be an absolute manic runaround and which one is going to go smoother than butter.
Oh, yeah. And it all depends on your producer at the end of the day and your artist that's working on it. And that kind of cognitive behavior of being prepared and preempting a shitload of work. Prepare what you're going to do. Tell people how you're going to name stuff. Make sure that people stick to the conventions, because when it goes out after 3 months, 4 months, when they come back to you and you have to redo something, you still need to like go through that document, read that document and decide, okay, yes, I know exactly where this is because I defined it way back when. You don't remember stuff. The reason why people are so good at their jobs is because they write shit down.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, can you imagine Priest didn't have the PST system?
Oh, yeah. So in our studio, we have a server or a baseline for every year. And it starts with PST, which is Priest, PST, and for Priest, right?
Yeah,
and then that would follow with the project code, which is 001, 002, etc. So every year there's a consolidation of jobs that come in progressive order, and we add a 01 or a 02, 03. So that's PST underscore, or PST 0001 underscore lint. PST 002 underscore outsurance.
Which is mad if you think about it, which means Priest has worked on over 1,300 projects.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have the 1,000 increment for a reason. It's not a brag. It's just, that's a lot of work, to go through. There's freelancers and there's artists in here, and there's a lot of stuff going on that we have to stay organized. I mean, we've got projects going on at least 3 at a time. And could you imagine if footage came in and it wasn't organized correctly?
Can you imagine it was organized by day?
Yeah. Could you imagine if we batched everything by day? Like everything was just like, oh, this is shot 1 from the 14th of May. And then we're working on 6 projects and it's like, which one's ours? Which one's the right project?
Honestly, just thinking about that turns me into a 24-year-old with heartburn.
Your stomach looks like a nest of 2-minute ramen noodles.
No, thank you.
No, thanks. Our first segment on the show today is pipeline or pipe dream. Skye and I have collected a couple little ideas that we'd like to question, because these are industry standard things that happen to us and have happened to us before. So first up, Skye, what's your first grievance?
Ooh, okay. Can you imagine everyone used Google Drive instead of WeTransfer and Frame.io?
Google Drive is one of those things that I'm like, buddy, this is not 2002.
No.
It's not the only way to get through stuff. The first thing is, the download is just horrible. The way to download, the organization is terrible. The loading on the whole thing is terrible.
The
to watch
zip?
it back, the zip. Oh, consolidating zips like getting 200 files, and then it zips every file.
Yeah, it zips every file, and then you first have to wait a day and a half for it to zip before it even starts downloading.
Yeah, and unzip.
Yep, and then unzip. And then half the time when it unzips,
It's
footage
corrupted.
corrupts or something or the other.
Don't ever use Google Drive.
Yeah.
Frame.io is probably one of my favorites. I mean, it communicates with Premiere Pro, so I mean, that's convenient, but not really used that much because it's not spectacular. Do you know Frame.io is actually owned by Adobe?
I did not know that.
Did you know that?
That is very
Adobe bought Frame.io, and it's the one thing in Adobe
that works.
Like well. And I don't understand why they don't give the same attention to Creative Cloud as they do to Frame.io, because Frame.io is a spectacular thing. I'm actually like getting
emotional.
I'm getting emotional thinking about it. I'm like, wow, because we use Frame.io on every job because it's just so good.
It is. It's brilliant.
The communication like between clients and being able to label and mark and like just keep track of everything. As a freelancer, you can get Frame.io. It's really bloody cheap. Like in the entry level standard, it's really, really affordable. I mean, we use massive terabytes of footage that go on there occasionally. And I mean, we pay for excess, but that is like on an enterprise level. But use it for your clients. It is, and put it into your budget, because Frame.io will speed up your timeline and your workflow and your client feedback exponentially. My thing with Frame.io is usually when we do revisions, the issue is communication, being able to get an idea from your client side and communicate it correctly to what you're doing on the footage. Now, if we were using Google Drive, for instance, and someone said, hey, at this time code, there's a spot on this person's face, and this woman's got like freckles on her face, for instance, and I'm like, okay, well, which spot are you referring to? And on Frame.io, you can specifically go and select those areas and say, check this, do this here. And it's so good on its commentary side that you limit your revision time. So where you would do something 3 times, you may only have to do it once because of Frame.io's very clear and concise way of describing what a client wants to do to your footage.
No, I mean, if anything, Frame.io is made specifically for the client.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even made for, we, as a post studio, we can batch download things. We don't have to, see the work up close and personal. I mean, that is just for the client's benefit, Frame.io. And that is why I insist, if you're going to work with a client, work through Frame.io. WeTransfer, it's also fantastic if you're dealing with really large files that you just need to send in a batch.
That for me, WeTransfer it's like a delivery portal.
Yeah, that's all it is.
It's not a review portal.
But now my concern comes in. I don't know if WeTransfer puts a compression on everything that you send through, or it strips off the metadata. Because when you put large amounts of files in, you lose about a good 5-6 gigs. So say you upload 200 gig.
Yeah.
You're going to lose 5 or 6 gigs. Now, is that just metadata? Is that a compression? Is that lossless information?
Yeah, so I work, I don't want to say I work smart, but what I do is I don't upload individual files. I don't upload files. I upload folders.
Yes.
So your folders, if you upload folders to Frame.io, it consolidates the folder. It doesn't consolidate the file.
I'm talking about WeTransfer.
I'm saying, sorry, when I upload to WeTransfer, I upload folders. I don't upload files.
Yeah.
When you upload files, you introduce the idea of like, it's scanning each file. And your changes on your server can change certain things, like data doesn't transfer correctly. When you have a folder, it checks the folder data, and it says that's the metadata for the folder. It contains 6 gigs, XYZ, blah, blah, blah. And then it matches that at the end, and it says, okay, well, we're missing so-and-so. Let's go through everything else again. At least in my mind, that is how it would work. I imagine that's it because I've never lost data on a WeTransfer.
Yeah, I mean, it's never, a case of it comes through and it's potentially corrupt, but even with uploading folders, and that's why I say I'm pretty sure maybe it's just the metadata encoded into the actual folder, but when you do send it through WeTransfer, you're still losing it a little bit, but...
Metadata is not like gigabytes, man.
Yeah, I know, that's why
it's on the kilobyte level.
Yeah.
Metadata, it costs nothing in terms of data. It's this tiny amount. So if you're uploading 200 gigs of footage, you're not going to lose 6 gigs just on metadata. You're losing something.
Yeah,
like something
is going awry.
Yeah, something's genuinely
Use
missing.
Frame.io.
Yeah, use Frame.io. I don't like using Frame.io for delivery because it's weird with the color space thing.
Yes.
You know, we had a whole spiel with that when we were working on the film.
Yeah.
And you know, it's all right. You know, in most cases, in most use case scenarios, things look fantastic. Things work correctly. Sometimes you'll bump into things, but all in all, WeTransfer Frame.io is a great combination to work with.
Google Drive. It's fantastic if you want to share a document, if you want to share a quote, if you want to share small digestible amounts of information. Google Drive is perfect.
Do you know what I like Google Drive for?
What?
Shared albums.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
Photography on your family trip.
Stills.
Yeah.
Your stills
are great.
people.
Yeah, used. That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, you maybe actually even have something better. I wouldn't even use Google Drive for work. Like, yes, it's a family thing because everyone has Google on their phone.
Yeah,
But
everyone's got
cool.
Google
You can
on
get to
their
your Google Drive. Yeah, and you can share your albums to your photos albums if you have a Samsung.
Listen,
Anyway.
not us iPhone users. We
Yeah.
have to download Google Chrome.
You have iCloud. We have iCloud.
We have iCloud.
You have that cool little widget that shows photos of your families at random times.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
love that.
And you
then
only got that now. Yeah.
my favorite part, when iPhone shows you a photo of what you used to look like and it thinks it's a different person. We love that.
Google Drive, total pipe dream, man. I would not even dare to call that a pipeline.
No.
Hard no.
Approved. Please send us the repo.
Not approved.
Not approved.
Not approved. Okay, next, my biggest grievance.
Yes.
I mean, we kind of already touched on this now, but editors renaming all their shots based on vibe and not slate.
No, man. Okay, I completely understand when you're under pressure, you've got 600 folders, especially for online artists. This is something that becomes, how many times you have to rename a file. I completely understand, things being labeled on Vibe. For example, if you have to do a pack replacement and you built it in 3 separate layers and each one, one's a texture matte, one is specifically for the color gradient, and one is for like a lighting spill that you have on it.
Yeah.
I completely understand you going warm light, cool pack, whatever, but make sure that it is impeccably specific.
Like exactly what you did is what you're saying.
Exactly.
But don't go naming it freaking Pretty Shot 7. Like, no, why?
Yeah. Go wide shot, exterior.
Yeah.
Crying.
What do you mean interior sadness dissolve? That's not a shot name, that's a breakup text.
Building a script that sends Slack alerts every time someone renders to the wrong folder.
Oh, dude, that's not a pipe dream. That's freaking marriage material right there. Damn, dude. Imagine sitting at home at 2 o'clock in the morning and someone drops a bunch of crap into the wrong folder. I'm like, you little... And you can phone them and go, the hell are you doing on your computer this early in the morning?
That Slack alert, that is the burn book. That is someone's little black book.
It's going, okay, this one.
Yeah.
We're not going to work with him again.
You infected.
Mm-hmm. Welcome to your new hell.
Yeah.
This is going to sound really bad, but being able to find out who's to blame is so good, and it makes you feel so good, because the thing is, when you're in an online suite and you're at the end of the day, at the end of a project, you're the one who lands up with everyone else's work. You're the one person that's looking at everything, right? And you've got everything in front of you. And when someone sits down here as a client and looks at the work and goes, hey, that's not right, then you can say, ooh, I didn't realize, but let's backtrack. Let's look back. Let's find out what and where that went wrong. Now, a lot of us as online artists don't know what stuff is supposed to look like until we get it, So when it comes into your suite, you maybe have a day to go through everything and figure stuff out and understand what the stuff is supposed to look like. And you've got reference material running back and where the work has been done. On occasion, things don't get done correctly and you're not familiar with that. You don't know where stuff went wrong. You don't know what it's supposed to look like. And it's something that I'm dealing with right now, where we had an editor drop in a shot that wasn't supposed to be dropped in, and it's gone to clients already, and it's been approved, and it hasn't got any visual effects on it and all that jazz, like the things that have been done to it. It was considered an offline edit, but it wasn't supposed to be. It was supposed to have work on it, right? Yeah. And now I'm in the position where I know where it went wrong. I tracked it back. I was able to say, yes, this edit was right at some point, and now it's changed once it's gone to such and such a person. And being able to say that, you can sit here with your client and not have like this internal fear and anxiety that you're going to be the one blamed for things being wrong. And it's not about blame, it's more so about being able to find out where the problem originated from and then finding a way to solve it. And if you can contact that person and say, hey, is this something that you did intentionally? Is this something that you've made you've accidentally done? And have you got what I need to fix it? And if they don't, then you find out a way to fix it. But at least you know where the problem originated from, because without that knowledge, you're left in the dark. You're a sitting duck for accusation.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, all it boils down to is essentially having your ducks in a row and making sure they stay in a row. So
Get your ducks into line. Quack, quack, motherfucker.
Passive-aggressive best practices.
Ooh, you know who we admire? The people who get results without breaking character. Let's talk about the art of passive-aggressive pipeline enforcement.
Oof, I love that. Passive-aggressive pipeline enforcement, that alliteration on the
passive-aggressive
that's delicious.
pipeline enforcement. That one tiny short-ass producer that's sitting there behind her laptop that's bigger than her and goes, if you don't, I will cut you.
Yeah, I will come after you.
I will come after you. I know your names, I know your places, I know everything. I've got your addresses, it's on the call sheet. Don't give me shit.
I've got your phone number, your email.
I've got your phone number, your email address, and the smiley faces you use on multiple occasions. Okay, your most common emojis.
So I would have to say, first example I can think of, the color-coded file naming guide that starts with "Hi team" and ends with "Non-compliance may result in loss of privileges."
Those Google Sheets, man.
Oh God, Google Sheets. Oh, but I love it when it's like beautifully color-coded
with
and it's
drop
just like
downs.
Oh, with drop downs, and then you
like,
can like say like complete or in progress or
that TBD, to be done.
oh,
And the whip option, and the
option.
done option, and then when you switch the drop down, it changes
color.
and then V1, V2, V3 options. Oh gosh, commentary. The best thing for me in Google Sheets is permission, like being able to permit people certain cells.
Yes.
So like you're as a director, like I can send you the sheet, and I can give you permission to edit the approved cell.
Yes.
And like that section, and you go through each shot and you can approve it as a director, but without changing any of the requests. So what happens sometimes, and then I'm not saying anyone does this, but if you have a client that's particularly difficult, maybe someone's going to sneak in a description or a request by intentionally because they want it, and then they can go back and say, oh, but you didn't do that thing, and they've edited your Google Sheet and actually changed it. Like,
yes.
Yeah, they've actually gone and physically changed it in a sly way to get the work out for free. Meanwhile, like you can mitigate that completely with Google Sheets because you can control permissions, which I think is just beyond like impressive and awesome. And I'm like so thankful that people make those things.
Oh, and then you can always go back to the sheet and you can be like, actually, it says DA,
yes, it's the
director approved.
To be fair,
actually,
on my side, it's like, oh, by the way, the director actually said this.
Yes.
They asked for this, and now I quoted based on that. So, yeah, don't ask for more. If you do, it's going to cost more.
My producer's outside.
My producer's outside. Here's the sheet. Go ahead.
Yes.
You know, and keeping track of jobs like that is very important for you, especially when it comes to time and management, and being able to keep track of shots and shot codes and shot names and just blah blah blah.
Also, managing expectations. It's a whole nother ball game.
Yeah, I mean, that's our jobs as well as ego managing, being able to control that. You know, that's a great exhibit. A. Like I can't fathom what the industry would be like if no one kept track of their work.
It would be absolute pandemonium. I don't think that there would be anything flighting on TV. I mean, we've already experienced working with major broadcasters, for example, like SABC, and sometimes I wonder what their pipeline looks like.
How do they get footage out?
Yeah, I mean, I sent off a television series 3 times last year. The same television series 3 separate times.
Just because they lost it.
Which means, I mean, and at like 600 gigs. I mean, it's not that big. 600 gigs is not enormous for a full television series, but you know, that's 1,200 gigs, 1.2 terabytes of unneeded expended space.
Exhibit B of people we admire is that one production manager who adds emojis to folder names to encourage order. Okay,
Like smiley face.
No one really adds emojis to their folder names.
But color coding.
But color coding, again, color coding, but tags.
Oh yeah.
Tags. So Mac has that tag system, which is just beyond impressive.
Yeah. It's very useful.
And same story of that, like green light, red light, orange light. Like green light status is a huge piece of terminology in our industry where you can say, yes, it's green lit. Green lit is good. Obviously, orange is work in progress, and red, bad.
Problems.
Yeah. When we asset structure our folders as well, like purples and things like that, it's all structured into tags as well. So we know, okay, go to the purple dot. Grand, you'll find your artwork there. Yeah. You know, that's a standard.
There's just one person I actually have to put a huge thank you out to. JP. North-South JP.
North-South JP.
JP.
Oh.
I love you so much because you always color code.
Is he listening?
Yeah, he listens.
Oh my God, really? Does he? No, you joke.
I'm being dead.
I love JP.
He always color codes his DaVinci Resolve projects, and it is such a pleasure to work through all of it because he even color codes his timelines. It is just a work of art.
Yeah, well, that's how it should be. You know, when you're doing an online conform, for instance, I also color code my lanes. So I have the offline, which is the edit that no one's touched. It's just the edit, and that is like in blue, for instance. And then I will have a grade line, which is in green. And then I will have an online, which is in red, you know, and that is my visual effects. And then once that's all done and compiled, and I've compiled each of the shots, I might even have a fourth line where I have a version stripe of those pieces of work. So I can play back proxies for that when I have a review. And what I'll do is I'll swap out those version files so I can always go back and compare. I can always see everything, but it's always color coded. So I can always compare and drop the levels down and be able to see what's going on.
I think one that I would really love to talk about is definitely me every Monday morning re-uploading corrected assets with file names that end in correct this time.
Oh, weaponized politeness. We love to see it.
We love to see it.
No, is that just something you do just to like piss people off? You're like, well, oh, by the way, this one's correct in the file name.
Well, my thing is like, eventually because client, they always come back with feedback because there's always someone in the pipeline, because even if, you know, production is happy, director is happy, the actual client who we are making the ads for, someone is going to be unhappy with something or want something changed. So the final is never the final. So whenever I send things off, I never call it a final until it is an actual final. And then I put in there big bold letters, final with the day's date.
No, I don't even use the word final.
What do you use?
Master.
Oh, ooh, that's a nice one.
I use master. And I use master with the date.
Ooh, that makes
sense. So I use the title of whatever the project is, the time. If it's an ad, it's a 30-second. If it's whatever the common name is for the advert, for instance, like best of both or whatever. And then I would follow with the time, the 30-second, then the format, 16:9, 4K, Ultra HD, whatever you decide.
ProRes, H.264.
Not even ProRes, no. I don't do ProRes, I don't do H.264.
Why not?
Because that's your extension. It's already mentioned. It's in the metadata. If someone wants a quad 4, you produce a quad 4 and you deliver it to Station. Station will check what the file is. If you name it 422, they're not going to read it. They don't care what you write in there. They care what it actually is. So there's no reason or point to write ProRes. There's no reason or point to write H.264 or MP4.
I feel like that should be in your folder structure.
What you can do is title low res and high res for review. So there's a high quality or HQ or a low Q, LQ. And those are used for review purposes to say this is a proxy and this is the high fidelity footage. It's just harder to play back. But I'd never ever define that in a master.
The only thing I will bring up as well, and this is just for specifically Blackmagic DaVinci Resolve users. Guys, when you export, please go and attach the file extension at the end of the clip. because DaVinci doesn't export with extensions. So it doesn't export with a .mpeg4, .mov. You have to go put that in afterwards yourself. So always go and put that in because it keeps everything concise, and that way there is no confusion.
Here's the intrigue that comes with that, right? You're getting if you title something .mov,
yes,
and you open it on a Windows machine, or you open it on in a folder structure, like on Frame.io or anything, you're gonna have .mov.
no ways.
No, I promise you, because it shows you the extension in the file name.
That's mad.
So that's exactly why I like Windows. You'll see there. You can see on my screen now. On the screen now, I'm busy doing mass renders, right?
Yeah, .mp4.
I did not type .mp4.
It went and put MP4.
That is your extension because I set it to H.264 and it's match source high bitrate, which means it's going to consolidate to the right resolution. This is media encoder, by the way. And it puts the extension .mp4 on it because that's what it is.
It's a .mp4.
It's a .mp4. And when you send that file on any other platform, it will do that. Mac takes that off. It doesn't show you extensions because it's more aesthetically pleasing. I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking. That's why no one uses the details option in the file finder, in your finder on Mac. No one looks at the details option because everyone just assumes when they use Mac, there's going to be .mos, but it's not. You have to check the details.
It could be a .mpeg4.
It could be a .mpeg4. And when you bring it into your software like DaVinci, it'll describe it for you. You don't have to type it in.
Yeah.
Like Nuke, you have to define it. In Nuke, you have to define it because the script, it doesn't tell, it won't write it down. It doesn't just make it for you. No. It just becomes a random piece of crap if you render it out without putting an extension on it. So you have to describe it because that's what Python code does. It's very, very specific. So there's that situation.
It's case sensitive.
It's case sensitive.
For you, good sir, I think it's time for the Feral Round lightning round.
Okay, what's that?
So 30 seconds, biggest grievance, go.
Okay, cool. If you're exporting ProRes 444 for YouTube upload, you're the problem.
Yeah, 100%. It's too goddamn big.
It's way too big. It doesn't play back, and it's going to get compressed. You're wasting your time.
Yeah.
Just put a freaking H.264, H.265. You'll be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
YouTube compresses shit anyway.
That's my thing. YouTube puts its own compression on. So if you're going to upload something super big, it's going to try and give you the smallest.
30 seconds.
Okay, 30 seconds.
No, I'm cutting you off.
You're cutting me off.
Yeah.
Okay, 30 seconds.
Okay, your turn.
Go. Don't call it a lock cut if you're going to unlock it 4 times.
Oh my god, lock cut. Love a lock cut.
I love a lock cut. But let's be honest, is it a lock cut?
Never ever lock your cut. Okay, don't lock your cut. Just do a version number.
Yeah.
And be like, that's the right one.
Especially if you've moved just from edit into grade. Don't call it a lock cut yet.
No, it's not locked. Trust me.
Locked.
Okay? Be faithful to your words.
Yes.
Okay? In your workflow, set up a time for lock cut. Okay.
Okay, 30 seconds.
Why are you sending us a drive formatted for Windows in 2025?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Can we just can we do an exFAT? Can we just discuss how exFAT is? That's it.
Oh, well, I mean, you're kind of stabbing your dad in the back. Dits hate exFAT.
I know Dits hate exFAT because, okay, listen, if anything happens to that drive,
you're screwed.
You're screwed. But exFAT is readable on Windows and Mac.
Yeah. I'm sure there's another format.
There has to be.
Someone tell us, please.
Yeah.
Because we balance out, I work with an exFAT drive because it's I travel a lot with everything, goes to multiple different computers, and that's just convenient for me, and I have backups of everything. So I'm not really afraid of it. It works.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's right though.
Yeah, I don't know if exFAT is the one.
Please don't Mac journal your shit.
Yeah.
Screws with us. Maybe there's a better way to do this, but NTSF, no go. Yeah. That thing doesn't exist anymore. That was made for 2002.
It was. No, honestly, everyone thinks that Mac is also the industry standard. Not everyone is working on a Mac. Not everyone is working on a Mac.
Not everyone can.
Exactly.
Fundamentally, you get capped at some point. You're graphically capped. And again, okay, last one, right?
Okay.
Last one, right.
Last one.
I have one more grievance, and it's a repeat. But do not, guys, please do not title your projects final if it's a rough cut. I dare you to do it. I dare you. Do it. You will never, ever touch a professional industry again in your life if you name shit final.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's not a final.
That includes you, Skye.
No.
Okay? Finals are not finals. You never ever use the word final, whether it's an edit, whether it's a cut, whether it's visual effects. Don't ever use the word final. It is such a school thing to do.
Ironically, at the end of the day, they are most probably going to come back in a year and you're going to rehash the exact same commercial.
Yeah, final is totally out of the way. Like it's a master, okay? It's a mastered version of the project and it is dated, okay? And then you can make another master later down the line and date that as well, okay? So it's a master from this date and it's a master from that date. It is not a final product.
Yeah.
It will never ever be a final product. You can rehash that 3-4 years later, especially when it comes to movies. They're masters, they're mezzanines.
Yeah. Ooh, actually, I have one more grievance I want to bring up. Just one, a quick little one.
Okay, go.
Do not go into grade with photoshopped stills and say, I want the commercial to look like this.
Now here, okay, I'm going to go over the 30-second limit for this because there's one thing I want to discuss, and that is the screenshot apps in Mac and the screenshot apps in Windows. They are not fundamentally built to capture color space. They are built to capture sRGB, which is your lowest level of color.
Yep.
And that is just reference material. If you are going to provide stills, capture them in DaVinci using TIFF.
Using TIFFs. Any program, as long as it's a TIFF, a high-res PNG,
16-bit PNG.
16-bit PNG, anything that has, it's going to retain that crunch, the look of the shadows, everything. But also don't go into grade with the idea that a stills campaign can be translated into, video media or moving media.
Yeah.
It's going to look insane.
Now that is spit and polish, man.
Yeah.
Now, to be able to go and say, like, here's this catalog of work we've done, and it's in a brochure, and saying, can you please translate this into footage? Sometimes you can do that, sure.
Yeah.
But if you're polishing stuff to meet a still, you land up with doll face bullshit that just looks terrible. Things start looking like Barbie films very quickly when you clean it up too much.
Exactly, and especially if you're comparing it to, high exposure, high contrast stills. Can you imagine, so let's, for example, use burger commercials. Anything that features burgers or, print media that features burgers. You see how hard the contrast is. You can see how hard the light peaks. Can you imagine moving from a still of this really pretty burger, moving over to someone's face, and they look like you turned the contrast and then just went... Brrr.
But this is also the thing, is print media is designed for CMYK.
Yeah.
So that's cyan,
And
magenta, yellow, and purple?
Yes.
Yeah? K?
I think so, yes.
Something like that.
Yeah.
CMYK. No. CMYK. I don't know. CMYK.
Yeah, CMYK.
Kelvin value. I don't know. Kelvin. I want to CMYK. I don't use it, so I don't really care too much about it. But what I do know about it is that it's a subtractive process. So essentially, you add CMYK together, it goes black, right? So print media is made to go black. Right? And because that, you get that contrast, you get that high saturation,
Those
different color
hard lines.
Film is based on RGB. So it's red, green, black, and that is an additive process. And basically that goes white. So when you add those colors together, it becomes pure white. Now, you cannot give a CMYK value and translate it to RGB without the correct hexadecimal codes and the correct information. When you give me a still image, it's made in a certain way. That film is not made in the same way. You cannot translate the two.
You can definitely emulate a similar look.
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong. But still, especially if it is a very, very, very commercialized still, it is not, your moving footage will never look like that.
I mean, you're refining one frame. You have an artist working on a still for 2 weeks. You have an artist refining every point of an image, and it's a single frame, what we consider a single frame. When working in film, a single second is 25 of those. And now you want me to match that still 25 times per second per ad campaigns, 30 seconds. So you want me to do that 2 weeks of work that one artist did on one frame in like a day.
Speaking of 30 seconds, I think we've gone over our 30 seconds.
No, I think we hit that quickly.
I guess the last thing that we should maybe talk about is emotional support templates. And what I mean by that is, let's end with talking about the kindness that we find in our industry and in these organizational workflows. What are some tools or templates that have actually saved us at the end of the day?
Yeah, well, I mean, if I had to point out one person, it would have definitely been David from Post Pixies. And David actually taught me how to use Google Sheets. I almost said Google Drive. But he actually taught me how to use Google Sheets properly to manage a film. And that was when Buddy Boer came into our studio, and he actually educated me on the correct ways to format and prepare footage when you're delivering. Because I was a project manager on that job. It was the first time I was project managing and controlling the post-production process and delivering to everyone because we had such a quick deadline. And David actually taught me how to do that stuff properly, along with Barry. Barry was also in and out.
Barry Strick.
Barry Strick was also in and out over my shoulder, just checking on me because they have been in the industry for so long. And those processes of preparing Google Sheets correctly to communicate with your team, those kind of settings and preparation, preemptive preparation, is really important for the quality of your output. The second thing that I would consider like a super kindness is render settings, but preemptive render settings. So it's not necessarily like, oh, here's this package of render settings, but communicate with the people that you know. Go online and find the people that you like. And oftentimes they will have presets for Media Encoder, for instance, for Nuke, presets, gizmos, and items like pre-comps or things that do things way more effectively.
Yes.
And quickly. So you don't have to set it up. You know what a great kindness is? When you deliver to Showmax or to Amazon or to Netflix, and the receiving team, the vendor, sends you
a thank you email.
Thank you email, yeah. I was getting there, but I'm talking about render settings. But they send you a preset for the program you're using so that you don't export the file wrong.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how many times people have asked me for quad 4s, and what they actually needed is a 422 HQ, and someone isn't quite sure whether it needs to be an HQ or an LQ, or the 444 needs to be with alpha, etc. But when a team on the other end who's receiving it sends you the render settings, my word, dude, render requirements, that makes my life so much easier. I don't have to go online and search what the station needs. You just send it to me. Like it's beautiful.
I mean, I guess that also has to do with just, cohesive workflow. If you are on the same page as your vendor, you guys are going to have the best time. Talk to them, speak to them, get to understand them. They are there to help you just as much as we are there to help them. I guess another thing that I would just have to say that has saved me time and time again, folders in, keeping everything structured. If you ever need to go back and refer to something else, if you've ever lost something, always return to the folders. Never export anything outside of the folder structure. It lives there. That is just the number one key.
Talking about folders in, quick aside from that.
Yes.
I create a template for all my drives, and it's a Z underscore project templates.
Yes.
And in that folder is a structure just named, like just naming conventions, with a text note at the last end of the folder with like shot name underscore, shot number underscore, version number underscore, date underscore. And that folder structure I copy and I paste it, and then I rename my folders based on the project. And because of that, I have that folder structure set up. I've even gotten to the point where I'm writing Python, Windows system scripts to build folder structures for me based on my personal templates. I just run that about the ChatGPT actually taught me how to do that. But that's a clever way of using AI to teach you something, right? And that took out like half an hour of my time. It was really, really simple.
I guess something that I just love to throw in, please send us your worst pipeline horror stories for a future roast episode. We love to hear them. We'll read them anonymously. Probably.
Depending on who sends anything, but like we will be anonymous if you guys would like to stay anonymous, or we'll slip in there. Until next time, keep your timelines tidy and your file names blessed.
This was the Abbey. Don't forget to hit save and render.
Twice. Hit save twice.
H264 ProRes 444.
Command S. It's not just a pipeline, guys. It's a principle.
See y'all later.
Bye.